Okay, pilots, I'm gonna do a little more work to my Durafly Marines Trojan, and had a couple comments on my last video there, the unboxing. Yes, it's pretty much the same model as the Jolly Rogers and the blue and white Centennial. If you see that little air brake on the bottom of it, you got a Durafly. And you know, it's kind of strange that the little 11 millimeter's got an air brake, but that big 2000 millimeter, well, I don't know, does it? But we're gonna put some tail feathers on. I had to put the horn on this, and it just kind of screws into that body there, but it was kind of tough getting them holes lined up. They really wasn't in the right angle. You see how the elevator's got this angle here? Well, the screw holes, instead of going in flat and coming out, you know, and maybe being in, I'm trying to get a finger here, in this angle, you know, no, it goes in like this and straight up. So you got to push that screw over and get it lined up with that little hole that's in on this side. And then we lock our little slide lock in here with the other one. No spar. The spar is already built in. It's right here on the corner, or on the corner. It's right here in the insert. I'm gonna get. Go ahead and put your push rod on your servo arm. Try to get everything lined up here. And it's got to go in there in pretty good ways. It's got to get those body lines to be flush. And the elevator free. Okay. Alright, comes with two little small 10 millimeter with about a, actually it's got probably a 3 millimeter head on it. If I can find it, what I do with them. Okay, it actually says here on the pack, 8 millimeter by 2.3 head. And you put one in the bottom here. I thought you glued these. I think the arrows and the 11 hobbies you glued. Those two models are the same. 11 hobbies made a good product. Arrows, I imagine, bought the rights and the molds, but it's a damn good plane too. Built similar, it's just one little thing like the air brake, and maybe the struts on the landing gear might have a different plastic covering on them. I think it had a different color plastic covering on it. And I'm going to show you what I'm screwing it into. I'm going to get close here a second. A little tight, and it's just kind of like a pin lock in it. It's not really tightening up on anything. Okay. You see here's where the goes into the spar hole. Alright, and then you got your bracket right here sticking out. Well, the elevator slides over far enough for the screw to go up into these two holes that's in the top and the bottom of it. And that's pretty much what's holding your feathers on. The leather already comes on the fuselage from the factory. It's got, if you'll look on the arrows, if you got an arrows or 11 hobby, you'll look, there's a seam right here where they glued the whole rudder section onto the body right in here, right there. All right, we got to lock up our little elevator joiner too. So we got to be careful and get that in there right. a screwdriver out of my hand before I jab my phone. Ooh, you're trying not to squeeze your foam, but you got to put a little pressure on it, Pilots. You got to. You got to, mister. Now, I can't see if my hose light doesn't fell right in it once I got those body lines lined up. Like a glove. Just a little snug. The elevators are working. They're free. Oh. Yep, I'm gonna wait to center my servo. That's way off there. This one was pretty close. I went in and snapped my rudder. All right, now the LED lights that come in the plane, the top and bottom. Okay, got that glue. It's not quite dry yet. Just now put that one in there. Okay, what comes factory is a white one on top and the red one's on the bottom. Well, I've just swapped them around. And what I had to do that was kind of grab a hold of the bulb itself with a pair of pliers, not putting a lot of pressure. I imagine if you would really put pressure on it, you might have busted. But we just kept moving and pulling, moving and pulling, moving and pulling. Took my hobby knife, went around, because I just was gonna try it without doing that first, see if it come up, but I had to take my hobby knife and go around it with the edges there, and it finally got them both to come up. And it has a bottom on the base, so you pretty much got to cut the bottom out, cut the hole all the way out through the bottom, and literally push the bulb all the way through, because this bulb and the one on the bottom is in a Y harness. See? So I swapped them around, but I had to cut the hole out, so when I was gluing it in there, I just had to be careful and kind of hold it there to my foam tacked up enough to hold them. Now what I'm going to do with that LED lead, this one right here, okay, is I'm going to put it into a Dynam LED control box. And I'm going to have those two strobing, okay. Yes, I have strobing red lights. Okay, I have them. They come in the kit that I buy for the FMS 182 trainer. But this bulb was bigger, so my hole was so big. I mean, well, yeah, I could have filled it up with glue or whatever and whatnot, fixed it and everything. But why not just put a control board on it, get it to strobe? Plug the other navigation lights, and what we're fixing to dive into now, since this is complete. And I've also got the prop on it that I didn't show in the unboxing, but it did have it. But it's on there. Simple, just tighten a little hub on the front. Not really stressing out the tightness now, just kind of putting it on there. All right. I mean, I'm sure maybe some of you out there has already seen me do this 15 times. But I've got landing lights and LED covers. Landing lights in the 182 trainer set come with the landing lights on a Y harness. Here, I guess they're so close there up in the nose, they just put them in a Y harness and plug them in the back base. And then I get LED covers. I get Dynam LED covers. I just ordered 4 more sets because I've got some planes coming. And I use these as the covers. I get the Hawker Hurricane, the P47, and what was the other one? The F6F Hellcat has the LED covers for a square tip wing, but I can't find them no more pilots. They gone. They all gone. But what I'm gonna do on my landing lights, get this out of the way first, is I'm just gonna T into or Y into the factory LED lights that's already run. Here's the air brake I was telling you about that only Durafly has. The little air brake pops up right here and down. But I'm just gonna take and cut my harness here. I want to leave enough of the lead on there in case I want to use that Y harness for something else. So I'm cutting the two lights right in off of it there. And then where I'm going to put them, make sure my LED cover's going to fit it right. Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. I don't want them in my strap. Usually I put it right here in this square. The panel lines marks out squares. You see the squares? And you see that square right there where you see that little flower? Well, that's what I said. Well, I can cut that out and get rid of it. So I used that little square there. Well, I don't want to mess my stripe up. So as you can see, the stripe covers two boxes, two squares. So I'm gonna go over here to this one here. It's a little more inside than the rest of them I have are, but you know, you have unique differences. So all I got to do is just go by those two lines there. And I know my LED cover, I've set it on there. And I'm getting just a scientific wild ass guess of how far I need to cut back. And when I make this cut, let me do this right quick again. Let me see how much is going to be overlapping that body line. Okay, yeah. So when I make that cut, I'm going to make this cut in this angle. And this cut's going to be in this angle. And it's going to come into like a pyramid in the bottom of it. And then put the bulb in the back and let it shine out. Okay, a lot of light will reflect off the white foam once you get it cut and clean. And most of your light's going to be coming out instead of to the sides. And I like to point my bulb down towards the landing, you know, runway a little bit. So I'm just going to make a small cut, just deep enough to cover that bulb. Just deep enough to cover the bulb. Remember, I want my light to shine down to the runway, so I'm making this back cut here in an angle down to the runway. Make this one a little bit deeper here. Get in the line, get in it. You try not to have to get in back into it like that again, pilots. It just makes your cut look ugly. But again, I'm holding my knife in that downward angle. I'm gonna try to make that cut by pushing the blade if this thing would lock. Just pushing that blade up in there. It might pop way out there too much than I want, but at least I'll be able to see what my next cut. Yep, see, it's still just not just quite enough as I want. Deep. So I'm going to cut a little bit more here. Might have to go a little bit more. I don't know if I got deep enough to clear that bulb. I better go a little bit more deeper. A little bit deeper. Deeper. Just kind of making half of the cut, half of the cut. Half, half. Don't try to get it all at one time. All right. See how it's got the angle inward and the angle downward? That's kind of what you want. Now, we're gonna make a base for our bulb. A round circle cut out for a bulb to sit in. I've got a new blade on this thing. It's like going through butter here. Be careful. Alright, now I'm going to turn this thing into a pizza here. I'm cutting it into little pizza pieces. Trying to stay about the same depth that I was cutting in there. Our tweezers. Grabbing a hold of that foam, pulling it out. Now, sometimes you can do this next step, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just got such a distance to go with the lead that you can't drill a hole through the foam and come out in my servo lead pocket, okay? Sometimes your servo lead pocket is this far away. Well, if you can get your drill bit all the way back there or get to it, whatnot, whatever, yeah, go for it. And when you coming out here, like the factory's got the LEDs in it here, where you see they got that tape covering the lead going up through here. Well, sometimes you can drill a hole in it through here and come up on a body line, or this don't have any body lines or panel lines in it to cover to hide your lead. You can drill a hole from the inside here out to where you need it to. Run your lead through it, pop up, and then use your panel line as the guide. But here's where I can't stand doing this, but you got to. Can't stand it, I tell you, just can't stand it. All right, my stripe covering the leads here. All right, notice the green stripe. The green stripe is painted onto the stripe also on the tape. But the leads covers the leads up. So I'm gonna stay right at that line where that green stripe is on it. And I'm gonna be careful right here because I don't want to cut my servo leads. So I'm trying to just cut that tape. Just cut that tape. That's all I'm gonna do. Successful incision. Okay. I'm gonna leave that piece of paint there to come off with it. Oh goodness, that's that Durafly paint. That stuff, I mean, it's good stuff, Pops. It's a real flexible, soft paint, and that's what you need to put on foam. You can't be having that stiff paint on foam. It just dries up, hardens up, and as the foam swells and shrinks, well, there goes your paint cracking up. So you just got to think about that when y'all putting these beautiful paint jobs on, man. You get them out there in that sun and that foam starts shrinking and swelling. It's not really going to be good. So I'm just barely cutting that paint right along the edge of that tape. Pulling that lead up. Okay. I use as much off of it as I can here. Stick it back onto the tape, not onto your foam, but back onto the tape, or maybe it'll hold it there, but you want it to stay out of the way. You're gonna have some servo leads for landing gear ailerons. What we're looking for our LED lead. There it is. It only has 2 leads, red and black. I'm gonna see if I can give that just a little bit of a tug here. Nope, that ain't gonna give me a bit. Yep, there it comes a little bit. That's all I need, just a little bit. That's all I need. Take my owl. I'm gonna split them 2 leads. Split the 2 red and black leads. Take my hobby knife and very gently try to strip a little area off of it there. Remember, this wire is just nothing. It's a string of hair. Okay, so just be careful. Now, if you cut it, you know it ain't the end of the world. But this is the way that I join them up. You can take your solder and and get right up here on top of your foam plane and solder something if you want to, but not me. I don't go for that. If it was a transformer out there in the yard, yeah, I'd want to do something a little bit better. But it's like 3 amps. Strip that black one. Get you a little area there naked. Strip your area there about 1/8 of an inch. And get all your covering out of the way, because if you get a little covering on it, sometimes that'll stop the connection. We want to finish getting our leads out of the way, because we're going to be drilling a hole here. That glued in there. Come on, ice cream. Alright, we got a lead out of the way. So I'm going to take a straight owl instead of that 90-degree owl. I'm going to take a straight owl. I'm going to put it in the center of that base hole that I made for the LED bulb. And in a real deep angle. It's going to be an angle. We're going to see if we can shoot it up here and see if I can hit this. Uh-oh. There's a spar there. There's a spar there, so I'm going to come up even higher to see where it's going to come out at. Ooh. I'm just going to barely miss that spar, and it went right into the channel of the wire. So I'm not going to stick it in no further. On this side, I don't want to poke no hole in one of my leads. Yep, there she was. Pretty good one there. I'll be close on that edge. That tape will cover it up. Let's see here. I'm not going to have a plug on the end of it, so I don't really have to make the hole too big. But you've got to have enough room for your shrink wrap that's on the bulb. Okay, you gotta remember that you got to have enough room for that shrink wrap to go in there. You don't want your shrink wrap all forced in there and folding over and everything, because you're liable to break it and ruin your LED bulb. I want my drill bit dragging up against my LED leads or my servo leads. Okay. of our landing light. Let's see if we can get it up in here. Like a golden. Alright, now where you LED lead and LED light bulb come together, you know, you got that's kind of like metal. So we in a kind of almost a 90-degree angle here, so we got to pretty much flatten this out here to where I've got that bulb almost flat with the lead. See there? So that I can have it coming up through the hole and pointing the bulb down to the runway, out into space, just like a so. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Look at that. And then I've got to do some trimming on this one. Boy, they've done some terrible cutting. But just look how, I mean, we're talking dynamo here, pilots, but look how uneven them cuts are. So you can go back and trim your stuff up. I mean, but that will be glued right over the top, just like so. I make my hookups with the red and the black. Okay, pilots, I've played enough. I've showed you my LED upgrade, and my tail feathers is mounted, and my new pilot's in there. There you go, Smiling Joe. I'm out.